Hey guys, Brian Grossman here with Get Outdoors South with a product review of the TideWe see-through hunting blind. Now TideWe has a few blinds on the market now. I think they're calling this the Classic, but it's the only one that 3 of the 4 sides have the one-way see-through mesh. The entire sides are see-through, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute, that feature. Along with all the other features, we'll talk about the specs of this thing, some pros and cons, and really dive deep into this. However, if you're one of those people that you just came here for the bottom line, hey, that's cool. I'm not going to make you wait around for that. I will say that I think the TideWe hunting blind is probably the best on the market in that sub $200 price range. Now, I'm certainly not going to say this is the best hunting blind or the best see-through hunting blind on the market. I think that title is held by Double Bull. They've long held the standard for high quality, just great portable hunting blinds. And so if you got an unlimited budget or you got plenty of money to spend and you want the best of the best, I'd recommend checking out the Double Bull blinds. However, if you're like me and you're trying to get that balance between a good quality product at a fairly affordable price tag, then I would certainly consider the TideWe. I've been really happy with it. I've had this thing about 6 or 7 months now. It actually sat out here on my property for a good 6 months in the elements. It's held up really well, and I've got really no complaints. I'll give you a few minor cons as we walk through this, but nothing, no deal breakers whatsoever. So I've been really happy with my purchase. I think this is the best blind on the market for the price tag. With that, we'll dive into some specs here. As you can tell from looking at it, it pretty much looks identical to every other 5-hub portable pop-up blind on the market. You know, they're all built pretty much identically. Your main differences and where those price points come in is the size of it, the materials used in the construction, both the outer fabric as well as the hub material, and the window configuration. Some of the little features that can add to the price tag, but otherwise they're pretty much constructed the same. Now on this blind, we'll start with let's start with the size of this thing. The footprint of it is 58 inches by 58 inches, so roughly 5 foot by 5 foot at the ground. It's 75 inches from hub to hub, so you got a little more room when you're sitting in it if you're a bow hunter like I am, be able to get your bow drawn back. Plenty of room in here for 1 or 2 people to hunt out of. To be able to bow hunt out of is not a problem. You do got to watch the tip of your arrow. I have a fairly long draw length, so as I start my draw, I kind of got to watch where my broadhead is. But there's plenty of room in there to be able to get your bow drawn back and get a shot out of this thing. It's 66 inches in height, so it's probably not going to be a blind you're going to stand up and hunt out of, but there's plenty of room, plenty of height in there to be able to sit in a good blind chair or one of the folding lawn chair type deals, or even to be able to hunt off your knees if you're still able to do that. I'm too old for that mess, but that is an option if you're hunting out of this blind. But where this one stands out among a lot of the other blinds is it's really lightweight. So if you're like me, if you're a public land hunter and you like to pack your gear in and out and not leave it sitting out somewhere, this thing only weighs 13 pounds, close to half the weight of a Double Bull. So very easy to pack in and out. Now I will say, if you're going to do that, first thing you're going to want to do is throw away the carrying bag that this thing came with and get you a nice aftermarket bag. I have one that I bought from Primos several years ago that it has 2 straps. It's like a backpack. Put your blind in, it's got a place for your chair and everything. But you're going to want something different than the bag it comes in if you're going to be packing it in and out a lot, any distance. The material on this thing, I would say, is in the middle of the road, kind of a mid-weight polyester type fabric. Certainly not as heavy or as nice as the material used on the Double Bull. Again, you're talking a fraction of the cost here, but it's comparable with the other blinds on the market in this price range. It's certainly heavier and nicer than you see on those cheap, $100, sub $100 blinds. The ones you set out and within a couple months they turn pink. This definitely didn't do that. Again, this thing set out for about 6 months over here. I think it's probably faded a little bit. If I set a new one up beside it, I'd say you'd be able to tell the difference. But overall, it's held up pretty good. It's probably not one I would leave out for years at a time. So decent fabric on this thing all the way around. The windows themselves are a heavy fabric like the rest of the blind. So I would not recommend trying to shoot your bow through the windows. They're not made for that. I would certainly think it would impact your arrow flight if you tried to do that. but there's no need to, because what I'll talk about here in a minute, you can easily slide these things open and closed as needed when a shot opportunity arises. So good material. The corners are reinforced, so those rods that hold this thing together, you know, don't end up poking through your blind. They do have good heavy-duty metal hubs on this thing. I've had no problems with the hubs. Haven't had any problems with the material. Overall, in the, like, again, six or 7 months that I've had this thing, I've been really impressed with it. But where this thing really stands out, and of course, and why most people buy this, is the see-through feature. And we're going to take a look at that in a minute. But the reason I chose this blind over some of the others, like the Rhino 180 that have similar features, is this window configuration, and specifically how the windows have an upper and lower panel, and you can slide those independently from the middle. Now, 3 of the 4 sides have a window all the way across, like you see right here. And again, they independently slide on the sides, up and down, so you can open those up as much as needed if you really want to have visibility, or you can close them and just leave a little slit to shoot out of if you're trying to have maximum concealment. I really like that. A lot of the lower price blinds, like the Rhino 180, it only slides from one side, I believe the bottom. The top is stationary and the bottom slides, so you don't have as much flexibility in how you open these things up. So that's why I chose this one over some of the other models out there, and where I think it really stands out. And it's also, I believe, a little cheaper than the Rhino 180 at that. And with that, guys, I'm going to flip this thing around, show you the back side of it, where the door is and where there's another window, and then we'll jump inside and you can really see how this thing works, see how those see-through panels work. All right, so this is the back. This is the one side that's not see-through. It doesn't have the 180 or the full width window on it like the other 3 sides do. It just has this one window, and I'm not going to take that loose right now. Well, no, I won't worry about taking that loose right now, but it's got one window on it that hooks on each side. You can take that down. And then this is where the door is as well, which we'll look at. This is probably, if I had to give this thing one con or one negative besides the carrying bag, it would be the zippered door. I don't like a zippered door. I think one of their newer models now has magnetic closure on the door. I hope they end up putting that on this one as well, because I hate that loud zippered noise when you're going in early in the morning before daylight. Everything's nice and quiet. Trying to get into that blind without making all that racket is not an easy thing. So, you know, a lot of them have it. That's a pretty small knock on it, but I do wish it had a different closure on the door itself. But otherwise, yeah, that's the back. Not a whole lot to the back side of it here. But yeah, let's jump in now, and you can really see where this thing shines by seeing those 3 see-through sides. Now, this is the view that made me want one of these blinds to start with. I've wanted one of these see-through hunting blinds ever since Double Bull released the first one at that 2018 ATA show. Man, it was the talk of the show. I was absolutely fascinated with how this thing worked, because one of my biggest complaints with a blind, and why I never really hunted out of one much, was the very limited visibility. You know, I hate always having to, you hear something, you hear a twig snap or something, you're always having to reach around and peek out windows and stuff, a lot of movement, just to try to see what's around you. But this thing, that solves that, because I can see 270 degrees around me without ever opening a window. And no, it's not exactly like, you know, looking out a window. Obviously you're looking through screen, so there's some diminishment there of your visibility, but it's enough where I can see a deer walking over here, or a turkey, or whatever the case, and then, you know, make the decision to slide that window open and prepare for the shot. And then, as I was talking about those silent slide windows, this is what separates this from some of the other blinds in the same price range, is you can just easily slide these windows open as much as you need to, making very little, if any, noise. And you can do so in a way to where, you know, if I just want to lower the bottom section of the window and leave the top in place, I can do that. If I want to raise the top and leave the bottom in place, depending on how tall you are needing to shoot, you can do that. Just a lot of flexibility that some of the other blinds on the market don't offer. So, guys, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Like I said, bottom line, I would highly recommend this blind if you're one of those who wants a fairly reasonably priced blind that has overall good quality. Seems like it's going to last. I haven't quite had it a year yet, like I said earlier, but it seems like it's going to hold up well. Even I'm probably not going to leave it out a lot, but I did for 6 months or so just to see how it would hold up, and so far so good on that. So I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this to friends. I've been doing so. I think it's going to be hard to beat at that price range. So if you're looking for a blind for the upcoming season, be sure to check out the TideWe hunting blind. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll drop a link in the description below. I'll throw in a promo code. That's one good thing about TideWe, is they're always coming out with promo codes. And so if there's one available, I'll go ahead and have that. I know there's one available. I'll go ahead and try to have the latest one in the description below, so you guys can drop that in and save you several bucks. And yeah, I'd love to, if you've used one of these TideWes, hey, I'd love to hear about it in the description below or in the comments below. Let me know what you think about it, if you've had any problems with it. And yeah, that'll help me on any future videos for this thing. But guys, until next time, as always, hunt safe, shoot straight, but most importantly, just enjoy your time out there in God's great outdoors. I'll see you on the next video.